Good evening and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Thursday evening. We're back with another massive show to bring you guys tonight. But before we jump into that, please smash a like on the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're only 10 subscribers away from 21,300. So please do go and subscribe. On the show tonight, we're going to be talking about Manchester United's potential pursuit of none other than Mr. Callum Wilson. We'll also be talking about Erik ten Hag's dilemma, striker dilemma going into the second half of the season with Anthony Martial being out for 10 weeks. And Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic has been talking about who Erik ten Hag's number one priority is in the striker position. So we'll be talking about that. Also talking a little bit about who apparently Manchester United as a club want, and it is a different name to who Erik ten Hag is apparently trying to get his hands on. Lots of other bits to talk to about tonight, lots of other, transfer related stuff. Get involved in the comment section as always. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on tonight's show. So let's start off with Mr. Callum Wilson, shall we? So the headline coming out this afternoon is that apparently Newcastle have put Callum Wilson up for sale. Now, we're going to do a little poll just to see what people want. So the question's going to be simple. Who do you want at United? We've got 4 options at the moment, okay? The 4 options that we've been linked to at the moment is Callum Wilson, option 1. Ivan Toney, we've been linked to just in the last couple of hours. We've also been linked to Brian Brobbey of Ajax. And we've been linked to, of course, Chupa. I mean, Chupa-Moting's more of a this window, isn't it? These are all kind of summer signings. So I'll just do other. Okay, let's just do that. Okay, so the poll is set up. These are all signings for the summer. Obviously, Callum Wilson could happen in January. So we've got Callum Wilson, Ivan Toney, Brian Brobbey, or other. Get involved in the live chat. If you are watching back on repeat, let me know in the comment section what striker do you want to see at Manchester United. So let's start off with Callum Wilson. The story is that apparently Newcastle have put Callum Wilson up for sale. He's available for £18 million in the January window, with Chelsea, Arsenal and Manchester United all interested in signing him. The interesting thing with Callum Wilson for me is that he's 31 years old. He seems to be injury prone. And the thing which I think is a little bit dumb of this whole story is Newcastle paid £18 million for him 4 years ago. They've had him for 4 years. He's scored them lots of goals. He's now 4 years older and they want 18 million. Like, it doesn't really add up to me. I think for me personally, someone at the age of 31, you're not going to get 18 million for. Like, he's not a world-class striker. I think he's good. I think he's very good, actually. I like him, but I don't think he's world-class. He's not on the level of a Harry Kane, obviously, or a Victor Osimhen. He will get you 15 goals in the Premier League, though, I reckon, if you play in most games. He's been doing that for like the last 3 or 4 years. And even when you go back before that and you look at his time at Bournemouth, he was putting up good stats when you think that they were a pretty poor side. Would I take Callum Wilson at Manchester United? I think if the money was right, I probably would. I'm talking like 5 to 10 million tops. For 18 million, I don't think Man United would do that deal. I think it's too much money for the position we're in at the moment. I know it sounds embarrassing, but we don't have 18 million available to spend at the moment. And I think that Chelsea and Arsenal are in a much better position to go and buy someone like Callum Wilson. Arsenal could potentially win the league this season. They're still in the Champions League. Chelsea are in the League Cup final. And I think, although Chelsea have had a poor season, I think actually they're a team that are 1 or 2 results away from really, really clicking. And I think they could really push for that 5th or 6th place. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea finish above us this season. They were maybe 10 points behind us a little while ago. They're now literally 1 point behind us. They've really, really caught up. And if you look at their last 5 games, right, they have won 4 out of their last 5 games. They've only lost 1 game in the last 4, and that was against Middlesbrough in the League Cup, which they then went to beat 6-1 in the return leg. Obviously, they've got some very difficult fixtures coming up, Chelsea. They've got Aston Villa in the FA Cup, and then they've got Liverpool in the Premier League and then Wolves. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Chelsea, but I think people have dismissed them far too early. I think they still do have a strong chance of finishing 5th or 6th this season. And I think that, them bringing in Callum Wilson seems a lot more believable because they need a striker and they have money, whereas we don't have any money but need a striker and we have nothing to play for, in my opinion. So it's a little bit strange. The second option is Ivan Toney. Now, there's a story coming out this afternoon, literally in the last kind of 20 or so minutes, and it's coming out from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic. Very, very good journalist, somebody who I like. I like the stuff he puts out. He is the journalist for The Athletic who specifically covers Manchester United. And he is reporting this afternoon that Ten Hag really likes Brian Brobbey after their time together at Ajax, whereas Manchester United are wanting Ivan Toney to join instead. So, interestingly enough, I think Ivan Toney would be a good signing. I do. I think he's a good player. But again, I think the type of money that it would take to bring Ivan Toney to Manchester United would be absolutely astronomical. And you just have to think, like, is Ivan Toney a 70, 80 million pound player? I don't know is the answer. I honestly don't know. It's difficult. Like, if he went to Arsenal for 60, 70 million, I don't think people would be massively surprised. But the headline from multiple different journalists is that Brentford are wanting around £100 million for Ivan Toney, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, personally. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. He'll be available as a free agent in not this summer, the summer after. And for them to be asking for £100 million, like, he isn't that good, I don't think, personally. I think he is good. I think he's obviously better than what we've got at the moment. He's better than what Arsenal have got at the moment. He's better than what Chelsea have got at the moment. So you can see why these price tags are being floated around, because Chelsea need a striker, Arsenal need a striker, we need a striker, and he is Premier League proven. He got 20 goals last season in the Premier League and 4 assists in 33 matches. I mean, that is a really, really good return from Ivan Toney, and he does have that presence. He's a leader. He has that strong mentality. Now, I know obviously there is these gambling, the gambling ban issues, of course. You can't shy away from that, but I'd be very surprised if any situation like that arises again. Obviously, you can never say never. And, from the people I've spoken to, they've said, I don't think Manchester United would go kind of anywhere near Ivan Toney because of these gambling allegations and all the rest of it. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. I do like Ivan Toney, though. He's a good player. I just certainly would not spend £100 million on him. I think that's crazy, crazy money. He's only got 1 year left on his deal. The third option is Brian Brobbey, and Manchester United apparently are interested in him. But from what I'm hearing, it's more because of Erik Ten Hag's link to him. Erik Ten Hag really wants to bring Brian Brobbey to Manchester United. He nearly joined Manchester United, remember? I think it was last summer, wasn't it? Was he playing at Red Bull Leipzig for a bit? He was at Ajax. Let me just double check this. Yeah, so he was at Ajax, and then he went on loan to Red Bull Leipzig, and then, sorry, actually, I've got that wrong here. He came from the Ajax Youth Academy. He went from the Ajax Youth Academy to Red Bull Leipzig as a free agent, and then a couple of years later, Ajax bought him back for about 16 million euros. And we were really, really interested in Brian Brobbey last season. We nearly bought him, but for some reason, I think he chose to go to Ajax because he probably was told he would get more game time there. Because at that point, obviously, we had Cristiano Ronaldo, we had Martial, we had who else did we have at that point? Marcus Rashford. We had a couple of other people who were all occupying that striker position, and I'm sure he looked at it and thought, if I go to Manchester United at the age of 20, I'm probably not going to play at all. I'll probably just end up in the under-21s. Whereas he went to Ajax, and he has been part of their kind of first team squad for this season. He's got 11 goals, 4 assists in 17 games this season, Brian Brobbey, which is, I mean, it's an okay return. I don't think it's amazing for the Eredivisie, but like, it's difficult. I can't sit here and say, that's not very good. Like, it is still good. But if you were to, say, compare him to someone like Santiago Jimenez, who's obviously at Feyenoord, same age, 21, 22 years of age, he's got 19 goals and 4 assists in the same amount of matches. So I think there is a clear difference in ability there, and I think we should be looking at people like Santiago Jimenez, because for me personally, I think he's available for around 50 million euros. That's his release clause. I think he has a much higher ceiling than Brian Brobbey. He's been putting up really, really consistent stats for quite some time as well. It's not just this season with Santiago Jimenez. Last season, he did really, really well as well. And Manchester United were linked to him in the summer. If you look at his stats last season, he got 5 goals in the Europa League. He got 15 goals and 3 assists in the Eredivisie, which doesn't sound that great, but I think he joined in January. Yeah, he did. He joined in January last season, so he didn't play a full season, but there's lots of different options there. Cesar says, Kieran, kindly shout out my wife and baby who are listening to you from my home in Florida. It's their birthday this weekend. Long live the Reds. Well, big ups to you, mate, and big ups to your family. I hope you're whoever it is in your family has a great weekend. And yeah, thanks for all your support. I really appreciate it. Let's see what people are saying in the chat this evening. CT says 100 million for Ivan Toney. They're off their rockers. The thing is, mate, they are. But as I just said to you, right? Arsenal need a striker desperately. Chelsea need a striker desperately. Manchester United need a striker desperately. Tottenham arguably need a striker as well. You know, they've only got Richarlison. They sold Harry Kane for 100 million. Like 5 or 6 of the top teams in the Premier League need a striker desperately. And you've got Ivan Toney there, who's banging in goals for fun and is now available to play again. So you can see why they're getting this price tag. They know that the other Premier League clubs have this type of money, but it's just whether Manchester United is stupid enough to enter that race, because you know for a fact that you know for a fact that Chelsea and Arsenal want Ivan Toney. So you've already got a bidding war on your hands. You know, it's us versus Chelsea versus Arsenal. Somebody's going to offer 80, somebody will offer 85. Somebody will offer 90, someone will offer 95. And the story goes on and on and on. Ruben says, Kieran, what is the latest about Tobido? Do you think we'll get him? And what about Malen from Dortmund? Tobido, I think we probably will sign in the summer, but I think it all depends on multiple different factors, to be honest with you, mate. Obviously, we need to see who the director of football is. We need to see whether Erik ten Hag is still here. Like, there are so many different things we have to consider, right? And Malen from Dortmund, I don't think Malen's coming, to be honest with you, mate. I would be absolutely shocked if Malen comes. He is a starter at the moment for Dortmund. And Dortmund have seemed to have turned their form around in the last couple of games. They were really, really poor. And they've suddenly started to pick up points again. So I don't think Malen will join. Marlon, sorry, his name is not Malen. I don't think Malen will join from Dortmund. I would be absolutely shocked if he did, because I know we got Jadon Sancho from them. And maybe there was some sort of world where, you know, you could do some sort of deal where it's like a swap deal in the summer. Maybe that happens. You know, maybe we swap Jadon Sancho for Malen. Maybe that could happen. You know, they're both playing the same position. We'll have to wait and see. I probably would do that if that was an option, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer. There are lots of clubs interested in this Malen person. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. There's no news as it stands at this moment in time. Malp says, what do you reckon about Ligt? I think Ligt will be a really, really strong option if Erik ten Hag is still here. If Erik ten Hag gets sacked, I don't think we'll sign Ligt. But I think if Erik ten Hag was to stay, I think Ligt will probably be quite high up on our list in the summer. That's the kind of news that I've been told, that, you know, Manchester United are interested in Ligt, but mainly because Erik ten Hag really wants to sign him. I said this to you guys multiple times on the show. Like, for me, Ligt is just a younger version of Maguire. He's not very fast. He's quite big. He's quite stocky. He's a good defender. He's great. Like, he's a very, very good defender, but he is slow. And I don't think he kind of suits this high line. I think he'll get found out just like Maguire has. Now, if you were to bring in a manager who plays a back five, I'm not saying I want to do this. I'm just giving you a bit of perspective, just for everyone is clear. But if you brought in a manager who likes to play a back five, I think Ligt would be the perfect signing. I honestly do. I think if we played a back five, Maguire would be a great part of our team. But when you're playing a back four and you're trying to push your centre-back so far up the pitch, I think he's a problem because he's slow and the ball gets played over the top and then he can't get back in time and he'll probably either foul someone or something like that would happen. Right, let's see what else we've got. There's another player or a couple of other players that, you know, we could potentially look at going for in the summer. We've been heavily linked to Athletic Bilbao player in Nico Williams, obviously the brother of Inaki Williams. I'll be honest with you, I don't really know that much about Nico Williams, but his stats are good. Like, he has been doing quite well in the Liga. 21 years of age. He's only. Let's have a quick look. He's got 14 goals and assists in 22 games in the Spanish league in 22 games. So yeah, that's a good return. He's in the Spanish national team now as well. As I said, I need to do a bit more research into him to kind of give you a proper overview of what I think of him. One more thing to discuss really, really quickly, and that's just to delve a little bit deeper into the story that Laurie Whitwell's just put out. And he is reporting that Manchester United's January plans remain unchanged despite Anthony Martial's surgery. No signings are expected. Tight finances mean even loans are ruled out at this stage. I mean, it's not what everybody wanted to hear, is it? It says debate over how to handle Martial's groin injury, but operation chosen at players' discretion. So, as we all know, Martial is going to be out for 10 weeks with this groin injury. Absolutely crazy. And from what Laurie Whitwell said there, we might not even get Choupo-Moting. We might not even have the money to be able to sign Choupo-Moting. So I don't really know what to think about that. But in some ways, I feel like the season's over anyway. You know, I know that sounds a bit negative, but we're 12 points off top four. We're out of the League Cup. Yes, we're playing Newport in the FA Cup, but if we face, Man City in the next round, we'll probably lose anyway. We're not in the Champions League. We're not in the Europa League. I feel a little bit like there's nothing to play for in this season. And in some ways, I want the players that we have to prove themselves. I want the players that we have to show us that they're good enough to be Manchester United players, I don't want to bring in all of these loan signings and then there'd be another excuse in the summer and people say, oh, well, we brought Choupo-Moting in and he wasn't good enough. Like, the players that are there at the moment need to prove they're good enough. That's the most important thing for me in some ways. And I think that we also need to see from Erik ten Hag that he can get the best out of this squad. I have been fully behind Erik ten Hag for so long, and I still am to this point, but the injuries are going to soon be gone. We're soon going to have our full squad back in the next couple of weeks. And at that point, we can really start to judge Erik ten Hag and start to judge whether we have a style of play and all the rest of it. Big ups to Fred, who is a regular on the channel, who has just gifted 5 subs to this community. So thank you very much, Fred. I really, really do appreciate that. Everybody who's been given a membership, please do say thank you to Fred. And again, thank you for all your support, my friend. I really, really do appreciate it. So thanks to you. Let's see. Maup says this season has been absolutely appalling. Yeah, of course it has. It has, mate. Yeah. Irvin says, Kieran, if Erik ten Hag was to stay, do you think United would try and sign Frankie de Jong again? I don't know, to be honest, mate. I don't think, Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell would be stupid enough to waste a whole summer trying to sign a player who doesn't want to come here again. I think that's something that people like John Murtaugh and Richard Arnold do. I would be very surprised if they go for him again. Unless he publicly said he wanted to leave, then I think United would obviously, push the trigger on that deal. But I think generally, we probably won't see Frankie de Jong in a United shirt, especially if Erik ten Hag is sacked, which could well happen. If Erik ten Hag gets sacked, I think that kind of link and that attraction immediately goes in some ways, because we know that obviously they had a good relationship and all the rest of it. See what else we got. Malp says Erik ten Hag has to go. The thing is, mate, right, I'm happy to have that conversation at the end of the season, but I think at this point it's a little bit pointless, to be honest. The season is done. No Champions League, no Europa League, no Conference League, all we can aim for, in my opinion, now is to try and finish 5th or 6th and hope that the 5th place team get Champions League, which is still quite unlikely at this point. Even to aim for 5th, though, we're 8 points off 5th place, it's a big gap to be in. Things can change, though. If we were to win the next 5 or 6 games in a row, you never know. We might be in a top 4 race again, but it would have to be something like that. We'd have to go on a really, really big winning run for I would say between 5 and 10 games minimum to get us in that conversation. And in all likelihood, I'm not trying to be negative here, but if you look at our next fixtures, Wolves away from home, that's going to be very difficult. West Ham at home, I think West Ham are a decent side at the moment. Then we play Aston Villa away. Aston Villa are literally, I think, unbeaten in the Premier League at home at the moment. Then we've got Luton away, which is going to be difficult. Luton will obviously want to win that game, every team who plays United, it's the biggest game of their season. And then you go further down the line and it's like Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle, all within the space of about 4 or 5 games. So it's going to be difficult. And if we were to really cement ourselves in the next kind of 5 or 10 games, I think maybe we could make a push for that top 4, but at the moment it's never going to happen. Everything Carby says, do you think Sesko is gettable in January? I don't think so, mate. I'd be very surprised if Sesko comes. Irvin says, what's your score prediction for Sunday? I think we'll beat Newport comfortably, to be honest. I would be very surprised if we lost that game. They're a League Two side. Like, I would say maybe 3 or 4-0. Yeah, 3 or 4-0. I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me on the show this evening. I will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Have a good day, everybody, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow.